Fierce ladies, welcome to the Moms in Real Estate podcast, where we unleash our unapologetic power to share the raw truth of our journeys. Brace yourself for a dose of empowerment, education, and encouragement like never before. I'm Kristen, a relentless entrepreneur obsessed with connecting and uplifting fellow boss babes. In this podcast, we're all about getting down to business, conquering motherhood, nurturing relationships, and so much more. Get ready to dive into the nitty-gritty, embrace the hustle, and unravel the secrets of success in the world of real estate. We're here to ignite your fire, equip you with the knowledge, and unleash your limitless potential. Tune in as we redefine what it means to be a true boss babe.
Hey ladies, it's me, Mindy Jones, not Kristen Cantrell, as I hijack the hosting chair on today's Moms in Real Estate episode. I'm putting Kristen in the hot seat as we dive deep into lessons learned along the way. From fading friendships to fair weather business partners, we're talking about how this girl handles curveballs. Everything from building her support system to those oh hell no moments. Get ready to get a raw dose of our favorite Moms in Real Estate founder and some hot off the press tea. Let's go.
Online, you always have the cutest outfits. You've always got the coolest things going on, great haircuts. And I think they just probably assume that everything's working out fine.
Yeah.
And they forget that it takes a lot of work to get to a place where most things are working out okay.
Absolutely.
And I'm curious, when you look back in your journey and go back as far as you want, if you want to talk about little Kristen or even just what's happened in the last couple of years.
Yeah.
How have you decided when it was time for you to like get up and do something different?
I feel like, my experience since I've started my business, which has been 5 years, I've been in the real estate industry for 10 years, but the last 5 years, if I could like sum it up really quickly for you, if you guys have seen Friends, which I know everyone has, that like scene where Ross is like moving a couch up those stairs and he's like yelling pivot at Chandler. That's literally my business. There's been so many different like moments where I've been like, oh my gosh, like emergency, we have to like completely move and like just deal with it. And it's been kind of crazy. I feel like I have thankfully been okay with change and like easily adaptable, but there's been some pretty like hard moments where I've been like, well, I was not wanting that to happen.
I mean, I think it's a superpower of a mom, right? To be able to pivot because as much as we raise these kids to be the morals that we have or the values that we have or the things we like to do and we want to do them with them, they are entirely their own beings.
Totally.
And there is only so much that we can control. And I think that strength as a mom for sure flows over into our businesses.
Yeah.
But it's like, how do you make decisions? How do you know when life throws you a curveball or you have to pivot? Do you get that like, oh, what do I do feeling in my stomach? And like, how do you work through stuff like that?
Oh yeah. Like I feel like I am a gut problem girl to my core. So when stuff like that happens, I feel it all over in there. The way that I get through, I would say like my secret sauce, if I was to give you like the one thing that helps me just have like the grit to go forward time after time is my community. Like I can call you and we had this moment recently. I had like another pivot moment in my business that really made me upset and sad, and me and you went and had coffee and I left coffee and I was like, that was so good for me. Like, what would I do if I didn't have people like you in my life to call? And so, I get asked a lot, like, well, what does community mean to you? And it's those moments, like you better have multiple people to call when you're having those pivotal moments and be able to bounce it off, because there's times where I could be like, F this, I'm gonna go get a job.
Serious.
Yeah. But yeah, like having people that understand who've also had to go through this and that can see your business on a regular basis, like that's that is literally the secret sauce.
You explained this strategy to me a long time ago, and probably like in a better way than I've ever heard it before. And I've repeated it to other people.
I love that I did that for you.
Because it makes a lot of sense. But the way you described it to me, and then share with me like how you do this and how you maintain it, because I think that's the hard part, right? But it's like you have these different buckets in your life. Yeah. And for me, I think of maybe like spirituality, momming, business, finances, right? Whatever it might be. Yeah. And then you describe it as like having a bench of people. Like, do you have one person in each category, or do you have like 5 or 6 people in each of these categories? So I'm curious, how do you build something like that? But more importantly, how do you maintain it?
Yeah. So I'm actually going through a new pillar in my life where I've had to build a community around it, and it's around my health. And there was just so many moments where I was like, oh my gosh, I don't have that bench of people. And that was like kind of a whoa moment for me. So my way of building it is I talk about it on Instagram. Like, I don't care if people know that I'm going through health problems. Like, but when I talk about it, I have so many amazing supportive people in my inbox. And so then when I get those people, I'm constantly dialoguing with them and asking them questions, checking on them, seeing how they're doing. How I maintain it, I don't have a strategy for maintaining it. It's more so like I'm just a relationship person. So when I see maybe a story or whatever pop up, or I'm thinking about them, like I make sure to either call them, text them, or comment on their stuff that they're doing.
So if someone is listening and they're like, okay, I feel like this part of my life, I don't have the people that I could turn to in this space, they can maybe start to talk about it a little more, be a little more vulnerable.
Talk about it wherever, not just on Instagram. My whole gym knows I have stomach issues. And guess what? They've literally helped me so much. So talk about it with anyone. The more you talk about it, the more opportunities and the more things just start presenting themselves.
So as they're seeking to build that like bench for themselves, and they start to feel like, okay, I'm strong in this category, but not as strong in this category, is there some strategy where it's like, are these all the same people? Is this one circle of people, or are these whole and entirely like different sets of people?
They definitely overlap. But no, there's definitely different people in all of them. But like, you could be in my health one, my business one, my mom one, my friend, you know what I mean? Like, so it's not completely separate. Although one person might only show up in my business one for whatever reason, but yeah.
You've built these huge groups of women in so many different parts of your life and businesses. And this strategy that you talk about and how you build your own personal bench translates into exactly the plan in how you build it professionally too. Yeah. And so that's why I dig into this, because I think if people are looking at all of the different things that you do, they'll see this repeating theme of not doing it alone, finding people who are on the same journey as you are, and then somehow creating space for the conversation.
Yes, 100%. So that's actually something I was just thinking in my head was like, so I have had like a horrible money mindset. You know this forever, right? I always equate like more money, more problems, because I watched my dad go from a ditch digger to a CEO, and I saw what money did to him. And so I had this like core belief, like I don't want to be rich. And so what I started doing when I started recognizing this bad pattern that I had was I started creating rooms around money mindset, not because I was there teaching it, but because I wanted to participate. And I just knew if I could go find the girls that weren't having these problems that could provide value to girls like me, I just curate the space and I build relationships. Like, it's a win for everybody, right? And so that has been a strategy that has really, really helped me with my life and my business.
So when you're so deeply invested then, because we're talking about creating rooms, right, where you not only show up for other people so that they too can learn and be on a journey of growth, but you are getting a benefit, right? Always, so you're super personally connected to the work that you're doing.
Yeah.
What happens when people show up in that world and are unkind, untruthful, have different agendas, right? I mean, like, we're living in a world of people, and there's great people and there's shitty people.
Yeah, I will tell you what is so shocking is that it rarely happens. in my spaces. I don't know why. And I do set expectations for everybody, as far as like, you know, having like somebody that comes in and tries to do like a bait and switch with everybody, maybe where they're teaching and then they want to sell. Like I set expectations, like we don't sell from the stage, right? Like if you want to get business in my rooms, then you're going to go and build relationships. So I think that's really helped. I have had like maybe a couple, I'm like literally trying to think who's come to mind that's just, you know, an interesting situation, but they usually weed themselves out. Like a lot of people, and I don't want to be in rooms where people are just looking at you like there's a dollar sign over your head, but some people want those rooms. They're transactional and they don't want relational, and that's okay. My rooms just aren't there for them.
Yeah. And I think in general, you're right. The more authentic you can show up as yourself, the easier it is to attract people that are like you.
Yeah.
So you have to do less of that like weeding out or chasing people that you want, you know, to actually be in the room.
Yeah.
But I also know as a leader in this space that you can be at times blindsided.
Oh, yeah.
By people that you let in to an inner circle.
Yeah.
And when you show up and you give all of yourself and it doesn't necessarily turn out the way you expected, there is like a whole process that happens inside.
Yeah.
From like a grieving to a mad to a, right?
Yeah.
And so I would imagine you've had experiences like that before.
Yeah.
How do you work through all of that?
I would say like, you know, that I've definitely had that happen, and it hit me like a ton of bricks. Like when I say like I'm relational, like it means a lot to me when somebody like trusts me, loves me, helps me, all these different things. And so I think that the way that I got through it was I just tried to show up and not like just show up and be good, be kind, have grace for people. Again, have people to call to talk through it. I have to talk through things with people. My therapist has been amazing for me. So definitely like going through just like any feelings and doubts and frustrations and everything with her has been really great. But just, I mean, honestly, just moving forward. Like I think that somebody told me a long time ago that some people are put in your life for a season and that's okay. That's hard for me. That's really hard for me. Every time I've had a friend that has come in my life and has exited my life, that's not normal. I'm friends with like the same people since elementary school. So when it does happen, I have this like mourning period and I obsess over it. Like it is hard. So having like those conversations and people to talk to is important. And then just like, you know, I know like there'll be a day where I'm not so caught up in this. And so just remembering that and just, I don't know.
I think this is a huge part of the conversation though to have, right? When you're talking about any form of like resiliency in business or longevity or community building and coming from a place of heart, like this is hard, right? Hard. And I think back to people looking and seeing you online and looking up to the rooms that you've created and wanting to replicate the things that you've done in their area or their community or family, they're going to be hit by things that they didn't expect.
Yeah.
And they need to know that it happens to everybody.
It happens to everyone. Yeah. We're not alone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I know over time you have found some tools that work really well for you. So you shared the therapist. I am all in on therapy. Yeah. So let's just, if you're out there and you don't have a therapist, like get it together. Yeah. Number one. But what about other like modalities that you found for either stress relief or natural ways of doing things? Tell me like some of your favorites and also things that maybe other people swear by that you're like, that wasn't it for me.
Yeah, this is hard for me because I have been stressed out since I was in second grade. Literally, I can remember like being so stressed because I was late to school. Okay, so it's normal. It's funny because a lot of people are like, oh, you're so chill. I'm like, I'm chill, but I'm also not. So it's like, I'm like, if you could only like see my insides. But so anyways, I would say like, I will try anything. And breath work has come in and out of my life for probably the last 3 years. And so it's so hard for me. I think it's weird. I think it's hard. I think it's annoying. I think it's a waste of time sometimes. So I literally will go back and forth. I will tell you, when I am consistent with meditation and breath work, I do notice a difference. But again, it's one of those things that I dread. Like right now, I know I need to be doing, I just listened to another thing about I need to do it every day for 5 minutes. And I was like, oh, this morning, did I do it? No, I didn't. So I would say breath work, it works if I could just get
if you could just do it.
Yeah.
Keep breathing.
Yeah. I would say when I am like worked up, what always works for me is a walk. So that has been like definitely something that's always helped me. What was the other thing? Like what?
Something that other people swear by that you're like, yeah, no, that doesn't do it for me.
Oh, cold plunging. Like a hard no. I swear. I'm like, no, it's not.
No, there's nothing relaxing or focusing for me about that either. But I also, my body can't really tell the difference between, and this may be a mom thing too, I don't know, but between adrenaline and anxiety. Mm-hmm. Like, I just don't know. My body doesn't know the difference. Like, are we excited about something that's happening?
Yeah.
Or are we totally freaked out that we might die? Like, my body doesn't know the difference. So I feel like cold plunge activates all those senses inside of you and you're like, something's wrong.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to die here.
Yeah. And I get like people are like, you feel awesome after, but I'm like, but the during is so hard. Like, I don't like it.
You know, before you mentioned that you have those like, oh shit, I'm just going to quit moments.
Yeah.
When that happens to you, what is it that you lean into or grab onto that's like, you know what, this is worth it?
Yeah. There's so many things. I feel like my girls, as far as like my chapter leader girls, have been like, I've been going through something recently where I have a girl / huge company come after my Connect and Cultivate business. And it's been really sad to watch like somebody who is in the female entrepreneur empowering space, who's completely like the opposite of my experience with her, with how she's come after me. And when I felt like, oh my gosh, like this is so hard and I just should like not move forward with this. I had conversations with my girls and the response was like, no, this is so worth what I'm doing. The grace, the worry about me, the lack of like what this means for them. Like it was crazy, like how much support I had in that moment. So, and I can say that in every leg. I could talk about that with my, all the agents I work with. I can talk about that with the moms in real estate community. Everyone just is so supportive. And so I know that bringing these women together is so important, and helping them and empowering them and being their cheerleader is so important.
I mean, the strategy there, right, is like when you hit a wall or life throws you a curveball or whatever it is, the less time you spend ruminating on your own in a dark, quiet room or in your bed at night scrolling, right, whatever, doom scrolling, the better, because as soon as you bring in the people who either you've put in your bench or you're working with or you're collaborating with or whatever, as soon as you open up that space, you're no longer alone to try and figure it out.
Yeah.
And you get a lot of the, I think, positive affirmations that we need in those first moments where we're like, there's no recovering from this.
Yeah, I literally, when I was by myself figuring this out, I was like, they're all going to be so upset. Everyone's going to hate me. Everyone's going to blame whatever. I just went through this like panic moment. And what I will tell you time and time again is when you have the conversations, everything's so easy. It is honestly so easy. So yeah, I can think about that so many different scenarios.
How do you teach people to do stuff like that? I feel like if a lot of women either didn't grow up in households that encouraged, messing up and doing it differently, or even were open enough to talk about what could happen like that. Yeah. I think of, being in the entrepreneurial space and having a kid. And, you hear people talk about wanting to keep their business and their personal life so incredibly separate. And I'm like, why? So that in 20 years, when he's an adult trying to build a business and build a family at the same time, that he's struggling with how to do it, instead of seeing that, sometimes it's hard. And here's some of the strategies that mommy uses. And here's how we, why are we not helping people with how to do that?
Yeah.
So you look at women today and they are struggling with it. They're struggling with how to juggle all the things. They're struggling with what happens when things go sideways. They're struggling with the positive affirmations and the okay to pivot, and it's not giving up when you pivot. Like, how do we teach women this when they likely didn't grow up with lots of examples of it?
Hi, it's Barbara with your tax coach, and we love helping entrepreneurs save money on their taxes. Here's a quick tax tip. Did you know that if you have an investment property, you can deduct your mortgage interest, property tax, utilities, HOA fees, and even things like your vehicle if you drive to the property, or meals that you have while working on the property. For more info, follow us on Instagram at Your Tax Coach or go to our website, yourtaxcoach.com.
I tell people all the time it's all about consistency and showing up in the rooms. And it can be any community. You literally just need to find a community where you're like, okay, this community is for me. And don't just go one time. It's going to be awkward your first time. It's going to be awkward your second time. But the more you show up consistent and you don't just sit there, you're actually like asking people questions, learning about them, learning about their life. Be interested, don't be interesting. And if you just continually exercise that muscle, then you're going to all of a sudden realize like, oh my gosh, I have all these friendships from this. You can't show up one time and be friends with somebody. Like it's out of sight, out of mind. So figuring out like, how do I make this a regular thing in my life and stick to it? It's important. People sometimes don't prioritize this. And I'm like, how are you not prioritizing this? This is like one of the most important things that can help you in every aspect of your life, you know?
I heard you recently say something to the effect of, probably much cooler than I will recap it.
Yeah, right.
But you said something to the effect of, people talk about getting back to basics.
Yeah.
And really the basics of any business is relationship building. And that really never went anywhere.
No.
So like, what is this back to basics that you're talking about?
Uh-huh.
Are there things that you have felt about business or about leadership that like, you thought that was the way that it had to be done, that now you don't see things that way anymore?
Yeah, tons of times. I'll give you like my first kind of like aha moment to this is like, you know, when I entered into the real estate world, I was hired to be a recruiter for an independent brokerage. And it was, you know, at the time, this is, you know, forever ago. So I think it was just John Cheplack, and it was like his scripts for recruiting. And it was like, here's your broker list, call from the top to the bottom and use this script. And I was like, ugh, like this is horrible, you know. And first of all, I was terrified of the top producer, so I'd start in the middle and I would read the script and I was like, for one, I'm a liar. Like I'm telling them I'm following their business and their production, and I would whatever. And I just remember being like, this is terrible. So I was like, how could I figure out a way to where I could be around other people that I wanted to be around? And so that would be, my answer was, well, I have a baby and I'm pregnant and I want to be around other moms. Like I'll do a Moms in Real Estate mastermind where we'll meet every single month, and it'll put me around other moms and we'll have other things to talk about than just real estate. And so that's when Moms in Real Estate was born. And that was my eye opener into, it doesn't have to look like every sleazy recruiter out there. I can actually just go build relationships. And if I'm attached to a great brokerage and that I believe in, then it's going to naturally come up in conversation. When they want to move, they're going to come to me. So I learned this early on, I would say like my first year in real estate. And so it's just been something that's carried through to where I know it doesn't have to look one size in any aspect of anyone's business as everyone else.
And through that, I feel like you found other industries, not just real estate, where that conversation wasn't happening enough.
No.
And so as you've expanded Connect and Cultivate, I'm curious, and any of the brands that you build out of creating a culture of community, how do you share that message into other industries? And did you start doing that because people were asking for it, or you were like, I can see that this is needed here? Like, how does that happen?
So I was at the park one day. The kids always go to the park across from their school. And so after school, so I'm sitting there and I'm talking to one of the mom friends I have, and she was a massage therapist, and she was like, gosh, everything you do is so like fun. I wish I could be a part of it. I wish there was a you in my industry. And I was like, like, and this is at a moment where I was having a lot of these kind of conversations where my answer was no. I had only built my business off of one income stream, one person, and I just kept hitting these walls. And so when I sat there listening to her, I remember just having this like, why couldn't I just pivot my business a little bit? I'm only in the real estate space, only for eXp Realty, and this isn't working. Like I'm having too many roadblocks. If I just pivoted a little bit, because really at the end of the day, real estate agents are entrepreneurs too. A lot of them don't think about it. If I could just pivot and talk about female entrepreneurs and helping them with building businesses, then there's room for everybody. There's room for my friend at the park, and there's room for all my real estate agent friends. And so that was definitely like this like awesome moment for me where I was able to shift into there, and just listening to all the entrepreneurs that I talked to, it was just more of like a listening game. It would be like, oh my gosh, like I never thought about it that way. There's so many things in real estate. We have so much self-help and so much training. A lot of industries don't have that. My sister's an esthetician. She's like, I don't have anything like that. So I just was listening and observing and seeing the need.
I mean, what a good, like, you know, flag or reminder, or I always just call it like when you feel that little thing in your stomach or that tap on your shoulder. But what a good reminder for people that are listening of like, if you're saying no a lot, no, I can't do that. No, I don't have that. No, we don't offer that. Like, listen to your potential consumer, because there's probably a product or a service in your space that is missing. And I think that if there's something missing, that you have the chance to create it.
Yeah, this is actually like a speech that I put together, and it goes into this like in detail. Like you can, if it makes sense for you to say yes, figure it out, because you're going to open up so many other opportunities, and creating multiple income streams is like the best thing ever.
You talked about that idea of your bench, and when you do hit roadblocks that you reach out to people, right, and start that conversation. So I would imagine that same process kind of happens when you want to get into a new industry or you want to do something a little bit different.
Totally.
How do you seek out the resources for that, whether it's people, podcasts, books? Like, what is your research process?
I feel like I don't have a research process, but I swear Instagram's been like the best thing in the world for me. I literally have made so many good relationships through there. And I feel like the process is more so just like, if somebody follows me, usually I go look at their profile and I'm interested, and I'm looking and seeing what they're doing. And if I'm interested enough, then I'm going to message them and be like, hey, like, thanks for connecting with me. Tell me more. I just did it this morning. This girl started following me, and I went to her account, was all on gut health, and she was local. And of course I'm like, hey, why are we connected? Tell me more about your business. Like, I'm so interested. And I think that, you know, I think of myself as an entrepreneur, and if somebody got in my inbox and told me they were interested in my business, like, heck yeah. So I just try to be that person and just listen to see where it goes. And then I have a Trello board where it's like opportunities is what I call it. And as I meet people and I listen to them and I have coffee with them or I do Zoom calls, I put a card with their Instagram handle and like notes on our conversation. So when I'm curating rooms, I'll just go back to it and be like, what, you know, like, could I use this? Like, could I use anybody on this board? Like, who should I curate a room? Who would connect well with who? And that just kind of is like my fun creative process.
I think when you are super social for the purposes of attracting business partners, relationships, you can have a lot of conversations going on at the same time, right? That's like the vision I just had in what you said. I'm like,
what?
Oh my gosh, like all the DMs, all the, right? I mean, this is a very intentional process. I know you say that you're like a fly by the seat of your pants, but I believe that there is a strategy. I think probably the words like strategy and some of that vocabulary, right? Like, it's not the way you would describe it.
Yeah, it makes me feel bad.
So you don't relate to it, but you do have a process of doing things. And I'm curious how you juggle all of those priorities with the other priorities that I know mean a lot to you in your life, like your family, your spirituality, this health journey that you're on. And I'm not asking for the secret sauce of balance. I think our conversations have gone way past that, right? And I think most of your listeners are probably very comfortable with calling BS on balance.
Yeah.
I'm just asking, as someone who is interested in a lot of different things, how do you pick and choose and prioritize, and what does that look like to you?
Yeah, so I completely am not great at this, okay? So I'm actually like in a way better spot today, but historically, this is a challenge for me because when you do love what you do and you're really passionate about it, it's easy to get home and not want to stop working. When people are like, what's your hobby? I'm like, I work out. My husband's like, that's not a hobby. And I'm like, I don't know. He's like, somebody was asking me like, well, what about coloring? I'm like, well, the way that people feel when they're coloring, let's say, like, I feel like that when I'm like curating a room, but that's also work. So I gave myself a lot of grief about all this. And I finally, when I talked to my therapist about it, she's like, honestly, like, you just need to let yourself flow. Like, sometimes you're going to be more into work. Sometimes you're going to be more into home. Just like recognize where you're at and like appreciate it, have conversations with your family. So I feel like when she kind of gave me like more of like the green light to like be in flow, I kind of just like, I feel like, I don't know, it painted this picture for me. But like when I go home, I do like, I'm trying really hard to where it's like, I need to spend this time with my family and not, I mean, I don't know about you. I know you probably feel like this, but like when my phone's like ding, 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 I do get anxiety. So I'll 100%. Like shut the ringer off and then I'll just be like, okay, this is like my time. And work is always fine the next day. So I just like always try to remind myself of that. And I don't know. I feel like I just went off on a tangent.
No, this is what we're constantly having to like reassess and reevaluate. And it is 100% different in different seasons.
Yeah.
Right. You have boys.
Yeah.
And as they grow up, they act different. They need different things. They rely on you in different ways.
All the hours, all the time.
Right. I mean, these are whole changes to your life. And I think a lot of the mistakes that women make is that their life changes, something in their life changes, and they don't make any modifications, right? Like, I can speak myself. I went through a divorce and, I have a son, he's a toddler. And so every year it's like a different Nico that needs something different. And in a lot of ways, I didn't change other parts of me. I didn't change how I worked. I didn't change my time blocking, my structure, all of those kinds of things. And then ultimately you get to a place where you feel some friction and you're like, this doesn't work for this.
Yeah. Yes.
And I think in those moments you have to figure out, what is it that you really want?
Yes. And that's like where the flow like resonated with me. Like, it's not rigid. It doesn't look like you're time blocking from 9 to 5. Like, that's where like when these seasons come where, for example, like if the kids are both in baseball, like I've got to completely shift my whole schedule and know like that is just the months that we're in right now. And so for you, same thing. It's like you've got to like be able to say, okay, this is going to look different right now. And that's okay. And no, it's not going to look like everyone else. I think we've had this conversation a lot where there'll be like guys in real estate that will like post videos at like 7 a.m. at the office talking shit to anyone who's not in the office. And we're like, well, that's nice. Like, you don't have to worry about anyone but you probably, where we have a different life. Like, we have to roll out of bed and hopefully have some self-care time before the kids wake up, before we make lunches, before we make breakfast, before we do drop off, because that stuff's important to us. Then we also want to go and pick up. So we have to like shove all the shit between drop off and pickup time. And so I think that it's just being really adaptable and being okay with it changing constantly.
You've used some really great adjectives today. Grief, grace, adaptable, flow. When you think about how you show up as a friend, like, what are your superpowers as a friend when you show up? And on the flip side, like, how can people show up the best for you?
I think those words, like, I try really hard with my friends. Like, I have, one of my very best friends, like, we're in an interesting season right now. And I'm just like, it is what it is. Like, we're going to be fine. But I feel like when I'm having a hard time with a friend, it's like, I have to constantly remember like I have to give them grace. They've given me grace in different times that I've had. So I think that's, I don't know. What was the other question?
That's hard.
It is hard.
And it's hard to go through something with someone who it sounds like you have a lot of shared history.
Oh my gosh, so much.
Right? And so it's like the love is there.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
The times that you've each had to like rely on each other and hold the weight is there for sure. And it's like none of that is being questioned. But does the relationship still work?
Yeah, it does. I almost look at it like you almost get to a point with people when you've been friends for so long, you've shared so many intimate moments where it's like they're just family, you know? And so to the core, you know you love somebody and you just have to like buckle through and go through it if you can.
So when you look for people to bring into your core circle, do you have a lot of people in your core circle? You have like a small core circle? Like which camp do you fall in?
I always have like an interesting like thought process when I hear people be like, keep your circle small. And I'm like, gosh, like I don't do that. Like it's pretty easy to get in my circle. Like I am actually interested in a lot of people. And when I find good people, I want to hang on to them. And so I don't know if that's wrong. I don't know if it's right. But for me, like I said, it's easy. I want like everyone is invited. I feel like anywhere. Sometimes people feel like they're not, but I'm like, here's what I learned is like, if I see somebody doing something and I'm not invited, I literally will be like, hey, like, where was my invite? And then, or I'll be like, I'm coming. I don't really care if they really don't want me there. I'm going to be able to read the room. But so I feel like when I'm doing things, like I want people to be like, I know that it's okay if I just show up. Kristen will be fine with that. And it's funny because one of my long-term friends, she actually it's actually really hard for her because she likes to keep her circle small. And she's like, oh my gosh, Kristen, you bring so many people everywhere. I'm like, I know. I'm like, so annoying. But I'm like, you know, she also has created like friendships through me that she wouldn't have if I didn't let people in. So I don't know. I keep my circle big. I think that keeping it too small could be like, you wouldn't have what we're talking about today, you know?
Have you always been like that?
Always. The friend that I'm talking about, she's literally been talking crap to me about it since we were in high school.
Do you think that that is a sign of confidence?
I don't know. I have no idea.
Do you think that that's something that you can build if you don't have that?
I mean, I think it's something that it might feel foreign to some people, but I think, again, the more that you do it, the easier it is. And I think it benefits your life so much.
Do you think when you look at where you're at today, and that can mean whatever you want it to mean, financially,
it's a hot mess.
financially, physically, business, money, spiritual, like whatever, marriage, kids, whatever, all the things. Are you where you thought you might be 5-10 years ago?
No. And it's, you know, I've always had like a hard time like vision forecasting, right? Like I started my business not because I wanted to. I started it because I had to. My boss said, we're closing our company down and you have to go start your own business. So like, did I think I was going to be here 5 years later? No, I was like, shit, I've got to like figure out how to build a business right now. And so I feel like if you asked me that in 5 years from now, then I actually feel like I am forecasting more. But my first 5 years has just been figuring it out as it goes. Like it's been kind of a fun shit show.
It's a trial and error, trying things, right? Which takes courage in itself to not know exactly where you're headed, but that you're working towards that. I talk to a lot of people, not only in real estate, but in the entrepreneurial space. And there's this big idea of like, you've got to know your why. And the problem with the why, especially for women, is that the why is like our kids, duh. Like like, you know, we've got it, but it's too big. It's too deeply intertwined and connected with our soul. It's not the thing that's going to get you up and working every day. It's the thing that says it's always going to be okay. I'm going to figure it out. I'm not going to end up under a bridge. Like I will make this work because I am a mom, because I have a family, because I will figure it out, because these things matter to me. But that isn't the thing that like keeps you opening up your laptop, working hard on the days that are hard, right?
Yeah.
What are those things for you?
Oh my gosh. It's such a deep question.
I know.
I feel like, honestly, like a lot of it is like, what else would I like? The alternative is like, I came from working at GoDaddy before I got into real estate, and I hated corporate America. So like, I feel like I actually am like super grateful that I get to kind of create whatever business I want. And I feel like, what gets me out of bed is just like, I don't want to go back there. And then being able to have like I literally can do anything I want to do and be able to show my kids like they can do that, and hopefully encourage them to do something like that. This has always been hard for me. Like I actually saw Simon Sinek years and years ago at a conference. And I remember when he did his whole know your why thing, I just remember sitting there and being like, man, that's like a little too deep for me. And I don't know if that's just a personal thing for me. I don't know. I mean,
I just think it's too hard to quantify. It's not like something you can hold on to. You can't see it. You can't, right? It's just like this big, gotta keep going kind of an idea versus something that you can like track and hold on to and is short term enough that
like,
it keeps you motivated. For me, I've got to feel fulfilled and not bored.
Yeah.
And that's why I've left industries before, because honestly, I have such career envy of people, and it's over stuff that I'm not even going to do. I'm just interested in the fact that it takes a lot of things to make this world work.
Yeah.
And I think it's so cool that it takes all of these people. And I am like an insanely curious person.
Yeah.
And my son is exactly the same way. He said to me the other day, I don't know if he was just asking me a bunch of questions and he read like the smallest twitch of my eye or whatever, you know, and he was like, I'm sorry, Mom, I just have a lot of questions. And I said, never be sorry for being curious.
Yeah.
Because curiosity is how you see different perspectives. It's how you meet new people. It's how you want for something different. It's how you explore what's out there, right?
Yeah.
If you're not curious, you wake up every day and you're just like capped.
Totally.
But if you always believe something else is possible, there to me is no greater door opener than that.
Yeah, for sure. I love that.
And so if I'm in a routine that's getting boring or where I don't feel like I'm making an impact, and that can mean whatever it means at the moment, then that's when I start to lose my motivation.
Yeah, for sure. I don't think I've had like a bored moment in my building. So that could be because I've been in building mode for, you know, my 5 years. And so I think that, if I got bored, I would lose it.
So what's next? What comes after building? What is the next phase from building, and how do you know when you're not building anymore? Or are you always building?
I actually wonder that all the time. I'm like, are we ever not like building? I think for me, like my word right now is amplify for the year. And it's like really just focusing on not taking on all this new stuff, because I am a manifestor generator. I love new projects. Like you tell me like, Kristen, let's do this. I'm like, yes, let's do it. I
don't know when, but let's do it.
But let's do it. And usually somehow I figure out how to make it happen. So now what I'm focusing on is just like, let's just make what we have a lot better. And let's get my team like really, really like honed in before anything else gets brought on. And I think that just like really building what I have going. So, you know, we're Connect and Cultivate by the time this comes out is no longer my brand. So I'll be working on a full, it is kind of new. It's the same company, but yet we're rebranding. So it gives me that creative outlet. It'll be the HelloCulture, and I'm really excited about it. And so, I'm just like focusing on like that, and again, making things better. And I don't know. That's it right now. That's all my brain can do.
And whatever else gets manifested.
Yeah. And focusing on my kids and my husband and, you know,
being a good person.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate you letting me hijack your podcast today.
So fun.
I consider you an incredible friend and a light in my world. And I hope I can continue to show up for you and all of the women that you bring together in your beautiful space. And thanks for getting a little vulnerable with us.
Totally. And real quick, if you like Mindy and me together, then you should probably mark your calendar for May 2nd in Gilbert, Arizona, because we're going to host the Moms in Real Estate live podcast event. So it's going to be so much fun. So definitely follow me on Instagram to hear more about it.
I am stupid excited for that
So
event.
am I. I am too. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks, friend, for listening to the podcast. We love having you in our community. If you enjoyed our podcast, please leave us a review or share it with a friend. Also, we'd love to connect with you on Instagram. Go follow us at Moms in Real Estate.